Eric is the principal author of Public Will Framework, a values-based approach to driving lasting social change. He's the co-author of Marketing That Matters, a book on marketing and branding for businesses that change the world that has been published in 6 languages. We're pleased to have him here at our event. Please welcome Eric Friedenwald-Fishman.
Jeff, and thank you, Linda, for inviting me to be a part of this great event. And I want to thank the folks that organized and put this together, and all the folks that are serving this amazing meal, and the farmers that helped us have this great food from our own region. It's really wonderful to be here. I also want to give a shout out to our own Secretary of State, Kate Brown, who championed Oregon's passage of benefit company legislation. January 2nd of this year, Oregon has the most flexible and innovative benefit company law. You can file your company as an Oregon benefit company, and I'm sure the Secretary would happily talk to you if you want your company to pursue that. That's a legal status with the state, not to be confused with certification, which I'll talk about a bit later. You know, it's really exciting and wonderful to be in this particular room with this set of leaders from so many great companies, because your companies are not only committed to building great businesses, you're committed to creating businesses that are great for the world. And today, as we celebrate the work and the leadership of the specific companies that are going to be the winners today, and to some degree, every company that is in this room, I do not plan to speak about the green business co-benefits, because everyone in this room already knows that the sustainability versus profits and environment versus economy arguments are false dichotomies. Everyone in this room knows already that green business practices can be innovation drivers, market builders, cost reducers, human capital attractors, customer and brand builders. So today, I want to focus on the opportunity of what we all must seize next. I have the pleasure of working at the intersection of sectors and of issues. Our firm's clients are all social impact organizations, but come from the private sector, the public, and the nonprofit sector, and often are coalitions drawn from all three. And the issues I get to work on, environmental sustainability, public health, and community development as the 3 primaries, are just as often interrelated, and there are more crossovers than silos in those issues. So from the standpoint of addressing any of our society's most critical issues and achieving our most desired goals, a healthy and resilient environment, a thriving economy, healthy and happy people, we can't think in silos. Health, environment, and economy all impact each other, and lasting solutions are only feasible with the involvement and change from all 3 sectors of our economy. For example, if we're concerned about the issue of childhood obesity, the increased risk of chronic disease from it are a health issue. The costs of treatment and the reduction in workforce productivity are an economic issue. And the lack of safe places to walk and accessibility and healthy food are environmental issues. The solutions to childhood obesity will require innovation and programs that drive community support, probably a nonprofit-led function, policies that support active transportation and infrastructure and open spaces where people can move and play, and other systemic supports, a public sector function. And it will require the development of walkable communities and distribution systems that bring us healthy food, easy to get in every neighborhood, a private sector function. So admittedly, the silos are permeable and must become much more permeable, so that the solutions to our problems and seizing the opportunities that are ahead of us will come from all sectors. But since today we are at the Green Business Lunch, let's delve into the incredible power and potential of business to drive solutions to our society's greatest problems, and highlight green business as the cohort that can lead this charge. We are gathered here in Portland, Oregon. As Jeff pointed out, being the best green businesses in Portland, Oregon is a darn sight different than being the best green businesses in Chicago. So we're gathered in Portland, Oregon, and this is a place with a long history of environmental and business innovation. This is a place that by 1863, when most of the West's communities only had the 3 Bs, you all know the 3 Bs, the bar, the bank, and the brothel? 1863, Portland, Oregon had a public library, had a museum, had a college, had set aside acres of land within the city to be parks that are still our legacy today. This is a place when the rest of America in the 50s and 60s was saying, just dump it in the river. Had a young journalist become governor, by declaring war on polluters and passing the bottle bill, innovative land use planning, and then holding an epic publicity stunt to keep 100% of our beaches free to the public. This is the place that fostered innovators who changed the world, from Linus Pauling, whose activism helped save the world from nuclear proliferation, to James Beard, whose activism helped save the world from TV dinners. It was in a garage right here in this community that two young hobbyists created transistors and helped launch Oregon's Silicon Forest and the electronics industry as we know it today. And it was here that a coach and a runner got together and poured rubber into a waffle iron and changed athletics forever. And more recently, again here in this place, pioneers in the food business said the food business can be different. It can restore our relationship with the land. It can bridge the urban-rural divide. It can empower people to improve their own health and the health of our land. And it is here that pioneers said we can lead the world in green building, in design and development, and we can expand that thinking from single buildings to entire eco-districts, again being led right here. It is here that pioneers said we can headquarter the design and the thinking that harnesses the wind, the sun, and the waves to power communities across the country without emissions. It is here where pioneers establish equity funds to build portfolios of companies that deliver better returns by seizing the opportunity of green business solutions. It is here where community leaders establish the nation's first environmental bank, and where we have other banks now that focus on lending to and growing companies that are investing in sustainability. We are a place of pioneers, and as such, we must be asking ourselves, what is next? But before I go into what is next, I'm going to take a brief detour and talk for a minute about why I think business and the power of business is critical for this solution. Now, I've already acknowledged the critical import of all sectors, but I'm going to argue that the business community is the dominant institution in most of our lives. The impact of the private sector dwarfs the influence today of the public, the nonprofit, the religious, and other institutions in our lives. Think about the portion of our day we all spend in private sector spaces. At work, in the store, in the hotel, on the airplane. Think about the portion of our time and our mind share we spend consuming private sector content, movies, television, internet, advertising. Think about the degree to which what we eat, what we drink, is determined by, designed, and produced by the private sector, and the extent to which the quality of the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil we rely upon is impacted by private sector business. Business has immense power, and we all know that power has been and can be used in ways that are damaging to people and the planet. But we also know that that very same power can be, and to a much greater degree must be, harnessed to deliver incredible good for people and the planet. And in doing so, I believe we can seize both the business and environmental and economic opportunity of our time. At the core of almost all environmental degradation, and also at the core of degrading impacts to human health and economic equity, are the economic incentives that drive business models, drive consumer behavior, and drive investor expectations. We develop land, we develop energy, we develop food systems, we develop transport, and many other industries in the ways we do, because the economic incentives reward that way of doing business. For just over 50 years, we've developed communities in a car-centric, single-use zoned way that reduces active transportation. You can't easily walk to the school or to work or to the store. It increases impervious surface, it increases single-occupant auto trips, and all that contributes to inactivity and its health consequences, to water quality degradation and its health consequences, to increased carbon emissions, the list goes on. Now here in Portland, and in a bunch of other places, green business innovators have developed communities differently. They're building and creating livable neighborhoods that are healthier for people and the planet, and are also providing healthy economic returns for the folks that are doing it. But this is not the norm nationwide, where far more land is still developed in conventional ways than developed in ways that restore water quality, air quality, human health, and quality of life. And it's still not feasible in many places without density, without transportation infrastructure, or in most low-income communities. This isn't a problem statement I'm laying out. This is an opportunity statement. Who will innovate different financing mechanisms, different development methods that garner the economic benefits of meeting this need in all communities nationwide? Companies right here, like Girding England Development, Brightworks, Green Building Services, Alta Planning, are all leading the way already. We have a food system that in many places in this country delivers cheap but very empty calories, again, creating negative human health impacts, negative environmental impacts from the way it's produced and shipped all over the country. And this again is a place for solutions. Who will seize the opportunity to take to scale experiments in affordable organic products, like Plum Organics is doing with baby food, like New Season's new private label program is doing, like Better Bean Company is starting to do. We have great innovators that are saying we can solve this problem. Vast portions of the world's population live without food security or access to electricity, and the dominant solution to that problem is chemical fertilizers and fossil fuel generators and lamps. What businesses will innovate and take to scale the financing and distribution mechanisms for dispersed solar, for drip irrigation, for alternatives to refrigeration in the developing world? Companies like Include, Fenugreek, and Power Hive are just at the tip of this iceberg. We can have the same discussion about economic opportunity, about clean drinking water, if we can scale dispersed treatment and connect income streams to that dispersed treatment. We can have the discussion about no emissions energy, if we innovate and solve for storage and transmission challenges that will allow us to move much greater portions of our grid to being renewable. We can have this discussion and the incredible opportunity about regional transport if we can solve the financing for high-speed rail, and in so doing at the same time address the massive infrastructure challenges that we have in the West and in the rest of the country. The opportunity list goes on and on about where business solutions can seize opportunity. And to more rapidly realize these opportunities, I believe we all need to embrace what I call the 4 I's of the smart economy: introspection, innovation, integration, and instigation. So let's start with introspection. Walking the trends. We've created an assessment tool that allows us to dig deep and learn where we can improve. And the B Corp certification, which is the international standard that Inc. magazine calls the highest standard for social and environmentally responsible business, is an incredible tool for businesses throughout the world. It measures companies on their environmental performance, their community performance, their workplace performance, and their governance performance and transparency. And the most important thing about the B certification is actually not the walk the talk credit gives you to be able to put the little B certification on your stuff. And it also isn't the ability to apply almost any phrase with a B, the B assessment, the Be the Change campaign, as cool and fun as it is putting Bs on everything. Really, what's powerful about the B certification is the data it gives your company on how you measure up against 17,000 other firms worldwide that have taken the assessment, and the inspiration it provides, an easy connection to best practices about ways you can consider improving your company's performance and improving your company's impact on the world. Here in Oregon, we already have the second highest density of B Corps worldwide. We have over 45 companies that have been certified. Those companies employ 3,000 people. Their revenues last year were over $300 million. We are rapidly moving to be the certified B capital of the world. Companies like New Seasons, Neil Kelly, Capital Pacific Bank, Sustainable Harvest, and many, many others. I encourage every company here to do some introspection and take the B Impact Assessment. It's completely free. You don't have to go all the way through certification. You can go online and take the assessment. It's at bcorporation.net, and it will give you access to great data. And whether you decide to go to become certified as a B Corp or pursue other certification or not, by making each of our companies places that examine our own practices and look at our own policies and find ways to improve how we walk our talk, we will build better companies and we will have a better impact. Second, innovation. Ask, what is the social and environmental challenge that needs a market-driven solution that your company is the best one to innovate and to solve? What issues are you and your team passionate about? What populations cannot access your product or service today but have a need for it? Can you figure out a different approach to meeting the need? Like, think of the company D-Light Solar. They've created a solar light that replaces kerosene lamps and the need for batteries in rural Africa and Southeast Asia, places where there's over 4 billion people in need of good light. Their innovation is affordable. It holds a charge for a crazy long time, more than a week. It sheds far better light than a kerosene lamp. It makes no noise or carbon footprint from the standpoint of a generator. It's healthier for people, it's healthier for the planet, and it's much more affordable for the families and communities to have that light. Can you create a variation on a core product, like in Dow Windows right here in Portland, who's bringing the efficiency of double pane windows at a fraction of the price point and without requiring any skills to install double pane windows? Can you find a way to monetize eco-services like Equilibrium Capital, again right here in Portland, whose Watershed Opportunity Fund and Wastewater Opportunity Fund invests in decentralized wastewater treatment, co-located with beverage manufacturing and food manufacturing and agricultural operations and municipal water plants using organic processes to clean wastewater and raise capital? Or can you envision a completely different model, like PowerHive? It's a technology and finance platform that has created the ability to finance microgrids, solar arrays, that are to provide village-scale solar in Southeast Africa and Southeast Asia. It allows villagers to be able to buy an hour, or 2 hours, or 5 hours of electricity from their cell phone, and by aggregating all of those users, creates the financing mechanism to be able to put in photovoltaic arrays and have centralized power for an entire village. It's incredible what you can do when you put your mind to it. Third, integration. We must ask ourselves, how do we leverage the power of diversity and gain the efficiency and impact by integrating uses? We must apply systems thinking to our industries like sustainable agriculture. Can we create markets and increase value for the rotation crops that both increase the soil fertility of the farm and increase income to the farmers, rather than those rotation crops being seen as a time that the land is fallow? Or industrial development, can we capture waste streams from all manufacturing and use them as energy for others? Or comprehensive master development that integrates the creation of products and services and utilities with living and work environments, so the outputs of each are inputs for the other, all the while regenerating natural systems. Imagine, if you will, community scale development where farm products provide the raw materials for co-located product processors whose employees live in nearby housing, and all of which is done with natural techniques that build healthier, more fertile soil and increase productivity year over year. And the energy from each of these uses is being captured to power the homes and the businesses, and conservation easements on the lands surrounding it are providing recreational areas and habitat as well as water filtration, and reforestation and dew collection are recharging the aquifers. I'm not talking about a utopian fantasy. I'm talking about things that smart companies like LP, Farmland LP, and Biological Capital are already doing, and providing positive deltas not only for investors, but for communities and the environment. And last, instigation. We must ask ourselves, how can we change the ground rules so they support the opportunities and the impacts of green innovation? What are the structures that must drive our current way of doing things, and what would they be if we were to have this smart innovation economy? I've said I was going to focus on the power of the private sector, and have done so in terms of advancing a prosperous and sustainable world, but a part of that power is the power to influence policy in the public sector and to shift the field of play. Just as the change in emission standards in the state of California sparked dramatic shifts in automobile technology. 20 years ago, seeing a hybrid was, wow, what's that? It's no longer a novelty. We're a year or less away from Oregon being the first state to have all of our major tourism corridors be completely filled with charge stations so you can use electric-only cars to go on trips across Oregon. Just as those changes in vehicle emissions standards have sparked innovation, changes in other standards and policies and the regulatory environment can either spark or stymie innovation. For example, if we expand the renewable energy standards nationally, it will drive innovation, it will drive expansion, it will drive jobs, in particular for a sector where most of the world's biggest companies have their North American headquarters right here in Portland. If we make changes in the Farm Bill and level the playing field for natural and organic producers, then our Northwest ranchers, dairy and produce farmers will see increased markets for their high-value products. If we raise the floor for minimum wages to a living wage, we will not only increase the equity in our society, but we will increase the stability, the health, the educational achievement levels, and thus the imagination and innovation of our workforce and our customers. Business has always been an influencer in policy and politics. It's time for green business to grow our influence. It's time for green business to flex its collective muscle to ensure that we increase economic equity, we incentivize innovation, and we put a real price on pollution, thus benefiting great green innovations. We are in a time of opportunity. We're living in a time where core human needs like good food, clean air, clean water, and reliable energy all have increased demand, and where the old ways of providing for those needs are going to be dealing with increased constraints and challenges. We're living in a time where community demand for quality of life, for connection with the outdoors and connection with each other, offers incredible opportunities to those who rethink how we connect with nature and how we design and build our communities. We're living in a time where addressing and reversing the increased economic inequity of our time and fully engaging the energy, the ideas, and the contributions of truly one of the world's most diverse potential workforces could unlock another century of American innovation and American prosperity. We are living in a time where this region, built by pioneers, connected to the Pacific Rim, with an incredible ethos and history of sustainability and business innovation, can lead the national smart economy revolution. The people in this room are the leaders of this movement, and I hope you will join with me in celebrating the achievements and advances of all the 100 best and of the winners today. I hope you will join with me in introspection and looking at how each of our companies can operate better and looking at how each of our companies can innovate better. I hope you will join with me in making sure that we use our collective voice to make sure that this smart approach to business becomes the normative approach to business. Together, let's seize this opportunity and the real dividends and its real returns to our shareholders, our workforce, our communities, and the environment. Together, we can make this the norm. Thank you.